Okay, so welcome to Director Bound, and we are going to be talking about time management systems and overcoming objections today. So one of these quotes I heard on a training, and I kind of liked it because it's kind of true. So time is what we want most, but what we use worst. Yikes. Very true, I think, for myself sometimes. Although I'm getting better, right? Always room for improvement. So when you have a plan,
Mary,
yeah,
there's some background noise. So if you're driving or multitasking, just make sure you mute. Thanks.
okay, almost everyone's muted now. Okay, so when you have a plan, you stay focused. How many of you, there's times where if you start your day and you're not sure what you're going to do, you're all over the place. Well, maybe I should do this. Well, maybe I should do that. Well, maybe I could do that. But if you have a plan and you have a roadmap, you know where you're going. I mean, I think about that driving, right? If you know where you're going, you have a plan to get there, you're going to go straight there. If you're going to Minneapolis, whatever, if you're going to a certain city, right? If you're going to New York City, you're not going to go all the way down to Texas because that'd be crazy. Um, but if you don't have a roadmap, if you don't know your directions, and you just go, you might end up in Texas. So when you have a plan, you stay focused. You can have it all, but you don't need it all. I like that as well. There's times where I'm like, I feel like I can reach a goal, right? Um, but there's little things I feel like I have to do along the way, and you don't necessarily have to, you know, do all of those little things too. One of the other things as I was preparing for this too is being reminded again how systems are the foundation of our business. We all have crazy busy lives, and without systems, we can be all over the place or we can fill up our time very quickly. So what do we focus on? So think of a funnel. Without the first thing at the top of the funnel, right? Our base, shows. If you don't have the shows, you don't have sales. Now we don't have recruit leads, new consultants, and future bookings. So it just all brings down the funnel. So that first thing, shows, right? So if you don't have shows, that's where you got to start. Then we work our way down with all of that. We're getting sales, we're getting recruit leads now. Now we're getting the new consultants, and from those shows, we're getting bookings. So those are the first things to focus on. The other thing, leaders don't work to minimums. So if you have a car payment every month, let's say, that's $500, right? I'm making up a crazy amount, I feel like, but whatever, I'm just even number. If you're working to do just enough parties to make $500, you're working towards a minimum. So then some months you might be going, oh my gosh, am I making it enough? Am I going to be able to make that car payment? Right? Things like that. So make sure you're thinking bigger. Leaders don't work to minimums. Or as a team leader, you have a certain amount. You guys as team leaders, 2,500. As directors, 5,000 as a team. But don't work towards the minimum. So you're not wondering every month, am I going to get paid at my level? Senior consultants, $150. Don't work to your minimum. So keep going. And even with that too, we always talk about when you promote to being a director, there's 5 under you, re-promote, because we don't want to work to our minimums. We don't want just 5 on our team. We want more than 5 on our team. And it's more about helping others anyways. So again, some people think about the RSVP when it comes to where should I focus be. So R is the recruiting, S is sales, V is very new people, and P is your producers. Again, this just gives you a good idea of what should you focus on. So you're going to want to make a list to help yourself be organized with your schedule in your life. Make a list of your of what's going on in your family, home, what you need to be doing for your family, home life, for your personal business, and even your team business. And now you have leaders that are helping you with that as well. From that list, what is urgent? What has to be done right away? Has to be done because this is happening tonight, tomorrow. A party going on that's starting here in a week. What's semi-urgent? What can you delegate? And what can hit a red light and go out the door in the trash? Okay, maybe not the trash, but it can go. And is there a system or a video for that? Do you have a plan? Another way to look at your list, what can you eliminate, right? What are some things you can allow and therefore delegate to, but what are some things you can allow someone else to do? Even if your personal life, if you are bringing kids to and from school, is there a rotating transporting kids schedule you guys can work out? 1 week you're doing this. 1 week someone else is doing this. Is there a schedule you can work out that way? What about when it comes to cooking? Do you cook every night? Or could you do some cooking on Monday for the week and then eat leftovers? So that way you're not cooking every single night. Can you, every Monday is your laundry day. Every Tuesday is your dishes day. Do that with your business. Every Monday you're making host packets, or maybe not every Monday. Make your host packets for the whole season. But each day, what are you automatically doing? What can you automate? Think about putting your bills, right? We put our bills on auto pay. Can we schedule our business post, right, that we put on our VIP pages or our business pages? Can we schedule those ahead of time? A lot of us are using Post My Party or Visly to schedule our parties. What else can you automate? What can you duplicate? I think making your own videos can really be helpful. I send a video to my host every time. It's super easy. I made it once. Now I copy and paste and send it to them to introduce myself and how the party's going to work. That's one example. Sometimes there's videos I've created that go right on my show. What can you create that you can use multiple times without having to, do it multiple times? So those are just some ideas.
Can I ask a quick question, Carrie?
Yes.
Do you send that video only if you can't get a hold of the host, or do you do that in lieu of your call?
I currently do it in lieu of my call, but it's pretty quick and easy where I could easily do it with it. Like I could do both. I mean, it's so quick. It's just a quick introduction and how things work. But I think it wouldn't be a bad idea if I did a call right after that to just say, did you have any questions about how the host, because part of it's how the host program works. I mean, I think it could be, you could easily do both and it would not be overdone.
Okay, thanks.
Mm-hmm. So your goal should be so crystal clear that you can say no to the things that won't help you achieve your goals, which is very difficult to do sometimes. We have a lot going on in our lives, so we can be easily distracted, right? Some of us have kids, some have grandkids. We've got friends, we have relationships, we have things going on at church. We've got laundry, we've got dishes, and then of course on top of that all, we have our own personal business. We have host packets, we have parties, we have goals, and we have new consultants. So we want to try to make this obviously all work together versus being a conflict. So are you proactive versus reactive? My husband and I actually had a talk about this even a little bit last night with just even us. Do you make your host packets ahead of time? Do you make them as you go? Are you in the middle of printing something and you've ran out of ink? Are you ready to go? Are your hosts calling you? Are you ahead of the game and on schedule with calling them? Being reactive can not always be good. Most of the time it's not, but being proactive can help save you time, money, and sometimes customers. So we learned this last time too, but before trying to cut things or activities out of your life, instead remove the word busy from your brain. Instead replace it with I am focused. One of the other things I learned from a training that I thought was super helpful is awake hours versus sleep hours. So live communication during the day, right? With your customers, host, team, recruiting interviews. I usually do those types of things between 9 and 9. Versus maybe sleep hours, you could do, host packets. You can work on your vision board. You can listen to trainings. You can email recipes, things like that. Now, sometimes, depending on my team, I talked to 3 team members between the hours of 9:30 and 11 last night. That's just what worked for my team, and that's okay, as long as it works for them and it works for you. If you don't want to do that, you don't have to do that. So, one of the other things for those that have kids, this is something I've been challenged with, especially lately, is that when my kids nap, when Andrews takes a nap, in the past, sometimes I would like to try to do laundry and that kind of stuff. Instead, do business things. When they're awake, do the laundry, do the dishes, things like that. So I've challenged myself to that. Also, for those of you that work, this will be especially important, but to make sure you take back your lunch hour or half hour, whatever time you have, but use that time to eat, of course. We want you to be well nourished, but also to work your business. I've done both, and very recently, working 8 to 5, but also being home. You can do it. The other thing is to brain dump at night. I found this again very true last night. I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't get this and this and this and this done today. Even though I had it on my schedule, interruptions had come. So brain dump, put it on a piece of paper, put it on your phone, wherever you need to brain dump. So right away in the morning, you can look at it and go, okay, I need to schedule this out again. These are things I have to get done. Don't forget these. Have a pen and paper by your bedside. Have a pen and paper on your fridge. Have it in a couple locations if necessary, so you make sure you have a place to dump. Now, how many of you guys, I'm just curious, use a paper calendar versus your phone?
I do.
A good chunk of you. Yeah.
I do.
Yeah. So a good chunk of you still use paper, which is awesome. So with that, a lot of people find, and when I did paper, I'm not going to lie, I don't do paper anymore, but when I did color coordinating your calendar, taking your calendar and right away, yep, exactly that. Love that. So some people use highlight, and I used to do a box around the day on the big part of the calendar, and then I would go and do the individual weeks as, individual time slots as well. But I used to do it both. So I could say pink was for personal, blue was team things, team meeting, director bound, whatever, it would be anything with the team. And then green were my money making times. So, or blue could even also with that is just when are you going to make your, your catalogs, things like that. But money making time means when I'm having my parties. So whether it was a cooking party, virtual party, the dates I was open to be, yep, I could schedule a party on this date.
Orange is office
Ooh,
on my calendar.
Okay, I like that. Orange office. That makes a lot of sense. I like that, keeping that separate even. The blue from like this is the team meeting versus orange. This is the work time. I like that. Oh, yeah, that's good. Um, so some people like to do that as well.
I
I
took
think very
Orange
helpful.
office to a new height.
Ooh, I like that. Then the next thing you want to do is take that calendar, whether you have a paper calendar or even, on your phone, and you're going to want to put things in there. I mean, like my phone, like you can't even quite see this because of the light, but I've got tons of things from yesterday that I had going on. But then I just click on my day and I see it. But do everything in 15-minute increments. And this hit me well, but when you do things in small amount of times like that, when I worked full time and I had my hour, I got crap done. I was focused. I had 1 hour. That's, it just didn't feel like a lot of time sometimes. So man, I got my butt on fire and I went to work. So do things in 15-minute increments, no matter what you're doing, because you're more focused. You're not going to put on the TV during that 15 minutes. You don't have time. You have 15 minutes. So do things in 15-minute increments and schedule them. So you might say, okay, at 6:30 I'm going to get up, or 6:30 a.m. before I go to work. I'm going to do from 6:30 to 6:45. I'm going to host coach. Okay, that's what I used to do before work. I mean, I did all my host coaching before I left for work, so they had time to send it as well. Sometimes because I sleep in now, I do it the night before, so they can still do it before they go to work, because they probably go to work by 8. So if I sleep until 7:30, I don't want to be rushing that. So do everything in 15-minute increments. Even within your hour, if you have an hour at lunch, the first 15 minutes, you might be eating. Okay, you might check your personal email, whatever. But then the next 15 minutes, you might be looking on your parties and responding. Maybe the next 15 minutes, you're gonna be doing a booking blitz, or get the information for a booking blitz you're gonna do when you get home at 5:30 that night. You're gonna set yourself up for that. So working in 15 minutes and put it on your schedule, even if it's small, even if it's super tiny, a customer asks you to send a recipe, put it on your calendar so you don't forget. Okay, it might only take you 5 minutes. Then the other thing too with that though is create white spaces, right? So yesterday I got distracted. I had white spaces in there, but they weren't big enough. Anders was needy, right? I had someone come on over and then they chatted forever. So create spaces where you can have what I call like makeup time. I had nothing going on during that time because something came up. So then maybe something like the task that I didn't get done earlier, I moved it to that time. So create time for interruptions. Let's see here. I think one of the other things we've heard before, think about if you're climbing a mountain, what are you bringing with you? Don't carry what is unnecessary. Only bring what is necessary with you. Leave everything else behind. Only do what is necessary. Think of that funnel again. If it doesn't fall within the funnel, and then urgent or semi, if it doesn't fall in those categories, get rid of it. Don't look at your stinking reports every day. That's me. I love numbers. I love looking at numbers, man. I love it.
Pot kettle. Just kidding.
Like, there's things I will be like, oh, did you know you made this list? They're like, I don't even look at that list. I'm like, I look at it every day. Don't do it. It doesn't make you money. Like, why? I don't know. I'm getting better, okay? Don't worry, I still look at it. But not every day, maybe. So, like, put blinders on. It's like a good TV show for me. I don't know, but I gotta stop. Like, it doesn't make money. Don't be focused on some of those things. Again, what is gonna get you ahead? Okay, I need to book a party, man. Like, why am I looking at this? Get going. You know where you're at. Or if it's something you're constantly checking, how many parties am I at? Write it down somewhere so it's visual for you, so you don't keep going and looking. If that is something you need to know where you're at, write it down instead of keep looking. Make sure you have a way where you know where you're at all times. And of course, feed your personal business first. That above all of it is the utmost importance. Again, if you don't have your own personal bookings, it's kind of hard to help other people. One of the other things I thought was really cool, and I talked about this a little bit, but creating habits to do certain things on certain days. So some people, one person, she said her Monday is called Mean Monday. I like it. It's like, let's get crap done right away. Scheduling things for her personal business, starting her week out with her personal business, following up with recruiting calls, bookings, any trainings maybe that day, anything that will, she might do a training that day that will help her with her personal business. Okay. Tuesday, for her, she does team time. She reaches out to her team. Okay, those are things you might, team time for you guys might look a little different. Team time for you might be reaching out to your director. It might be reaching out to your consultants under you too. Either way, right? You might reach out to your director because you have a question. You might be sending, whatever it may be. Wednesday, wow moment, brag on yourself. Do your hashtag making magic on Wednesdays, right? Really do it whenever. Do it all the time, please. Every day, we'd like to see something. But brag on yourself. Be like, wow, look what I've done. Look what I did this last week. Look what I did this last month. Look what I did this last year. Whatever it may be, but brag on yourself. So those are just a few ideas. Of course, make them up, right? And again, as always, everything you do should be in line with your goal, and that goal should make you cry. Okay, so that's, I told you it was a lot. So let's move right into overcoming objections with your recruit leads. So we're just gonna role play. So if anybody has an objection that you have, that you've had recently from somebody as you've been having these conversations, shout them out. Unless Chanel answered all of them last week.
I'm just too busy.
Oh, goodness. I think many of us would answer this in a different way. One of the ways I do it is simply say, the busy people are the best people. They know their schedule. That's sometimes how I start out. But many times, again, I switch the question to, well, what, I might say that and then say, well, what interests you the most? I try to focus them off the busy because everyone says they're busy, and sometimes it's this just like overlying umbrella answer. But I totally make them feel relatable. Like, I totally get it. Aren't we all? But maybe figure out what they're busy with even.
There's no way my spouse is going to allow me to do this.
Okay. I think for this one, and directors, you guys can jump in too, but for me, if they say their spouse won't allow them to, I'll be like, what concerns does your spouse have? Let's find out what they are. I've had spouses jump on conversations or calls with me before. So I might.
My spouse says these are scams. I'm just trying to role play.
No, yeah. I have to think though. Usually I have more time to think because I'm typing, right? I don't respond directly to people anymore, it feels like. But yeah, if they say it's a scam too, again, sometimes I might respond, I totally get that. But you do make real money. Why do they feel like it's a scam? Sometimes I answer the question, of course, with a question. I find that to be most.
Because back in the 80s, I sold gold coins and I didn't make any money.
This is so a true statement too. It makes me laugh. Um, with Pampered Chef, just say what Pampered Chef does, but with Pampered Chef, you purchase a kit and from there you make commission right away on the first item you sell. And you will see a paycheck twice a month.
I think that pointing out how Warren Buffett has bought our company and backs our company adds huge legitimacy when people are talking about a scam or a pyramid scheme. Just saying that of all the companies out there, Tupperware, Avon, all of those, Warren Buffett chose our company.
Totally. And you could totally add that in there. I think what is good, it's hard to do, but to keep it simple as well. But that's, you could add a very short line about that. Like, well, you know, Pampered Chef is owned by Warren Buffett. So we are a credible company amongst being part of the Direct Sales Association. But also, you are going to make money.
I personally would give it some meat. I would say, you know, my husband said the same thing, and I used the gold coin thing because I sold gold coins, but I didn't sell gold coins. But anyway, so I'll just say my husband thought the same thing until I brought home that first paycheck. I went out one night a week, and I brought home over $800. It was my husband who made me stay with the business. And you're welcome to share that example with him. And if we'd like to do a call together, I'd be happy to do that. Men want to hear money statistics, I think.
Yep.
So, but that's just an idea.
I do think asking a question of it though fleshes it out a little bit for us, because sometimes they'll just say that as an excuse. You know, it's always easy to pass it off onto the other person. It's almost kind of like when I'm checking people out, I'll say, do you have a consultant that you work with consistently? Because I don't want to step on any toes. So they'll go, oh, yeah. Oh, that's so great. You know, what's his or her name? And they'll go, you know, I can't really remember. Oh, okay, well, that's all right. You know, I'm glad you have somebody. And then at the end, they'll go, well, why don't I take your card just in case I ever need you? Which tells me they really didn't have a consultant, but it was something easy to say in case they thought I was going to hook them with something. So sometimes they use their husbands or spouse or significant other as an excuse. So just kind of keep asking questions.
Totally. That makes sense. Their husband really doesn't think it's a scam. They think it's a scam. I mean, right? But they don't want to admit it. Because then they have to go back and check with someone versus give a response right away. Potentially. What else? The other thing I wanted to mention as well is, do you have a system for responding to these objections? Do you have them in a Word document? Something that way you can eat when you get it again, because we learn these things and then we forget. Oh my gosh, how do I respond to that again? As you're learning these, do you have a document? Do you have a system? Including, even for me, I have a party interaction. I'm going to just show you guys this real quick. But I have a party interaction document now. So I have a response if someone has an interest in the business. Here's my response to the paycheck game. I have a response if someone responds to the, what would you do with an extra $500? Drop a GIF below, or whatever you call them. So maybe some of my follow-up stuff. I used to get so lost with this stuff. I used to forget what to say. I'm like, what do I say again? And I maybe have to go back to an old party. I'd have to go back to an old party to find how did I answer that again? But now I have it in a document. This is another way to create systems. Have a host coaching document. What do you say to your host every day, every week, every time they have a party? Do you say the same thing over and over again? Or do you have to reinvent the wheel every single time?
One comment about this, because I always share my host coaching document and I have my interactions at the very end of it. When I share that, I'm not sharing that so that people will actually do exactly what I'm doing. I'm just showing that, like, once, how I created that is the same way Carrie did it, sounds like. Like, I would type out, someone would ask a question, I would type it out. I'd be really having an on day, and I'd type out a response, and I'm like, oh, crap, that sounded really good. So I'd be like, oh, wait, copy that and paste that. Just save that. You know, that was a great way to answer that question. And the questions are the same. It's just like at your parties, you could almost hit the play button when you do the question and answer game. So just something to realize that we're not saying, here's all my words. They're the right words. You go use them. No, make your own words. But at least that document would give you probably the 6 questions that you usually get asked, or the 10 types of gifts that typically get posted. Actually, there's probably 3 or 4 types of gifts that get posted, you know. So make it your own.
Totally. Yeah, I agree. And I just didn't ever do that. So sometimes I'd have to be like, if I was having an off day, I'd be like, what do I say? I don't remember. So like, to have those words from your good days, your on days, like she said, is really helpful to have. And you guys have done these conversations before, even screenshots. I know some people, I think Jess, she's got a document of screenshots from conversations, personal messages that she has had with people, to help her as well, to be like, how did I respond one time to this situation? And then she can go find it. Any other questions about time management systems or any other objections?
I have a question. When you were talking about time management, you said delegate whenever possible.
Yeah.
Can you give me an example of what you would be delegating and who you're going to delegate that to? Because I kind of feel like I'm alone in this business. So who the heck am I going to delegate something to?
Yeah, so it kind of depends. I've had, like, with my catalogs, like stamping my catalogs, things like that. I've had my husband do, I've had my nieces and nephew do. I've paid someone one time to come over for an hour to help me do things like that. So those are, or even watch Anders before, so I could then go work on stuff. So I think it just kind of depends. I mean, that's one thing. Of course, I'm just giving an example of. Anybody else, what do you guys delegate out? I know sometimes people will delegate sending out emails or
Cleaning my house,
yeah.
creating my newsletter.
Yeah.
But I also think, along with delegate, is automate. What's taking you a lot of time, but it's a repeat step? Could you automate it? Could you do, you know, like text replacements on your phone? That's a huge one. You will save a ton of time. If you just go out and Google how to do text replacements, learn how to do it, and anything that you're typing over and over and over and over, whether that's on PMs or on text, create a text replacement for it.
Yep.
You can still personalize it. You know, that I know sometimes that then sounds like, oh, well, you're not being genuine, but they're your words and you can always change them. But at least you got the bulk of the message in a way that you've kind of spent time approving in your own mind.
Mm-hmm. Anything else? You're all so quiet and beautiful. All right. Well, I'm going to stop the recording then. Now, don't do what I usually do. I'm like, oh, those are great ideas. I should really start practicing them. But sometimes don't always implement. So let's implement. Take at least one thing you've learned, take your calendar out, schedule, color coordinate it. You know, make a list of those things that are going on in your life, decide what needs to stay, what needs to go, what you can delegate, what you can automate, maybe doing those text replacements, and make something happen.
Can I ask about onboarding? Because I thought we were talking about onboarding, but maybe not.
I did not have that down.
Okay.
but we can briefly touch on it. As
If
far
you could, I told people we were touching on it.
Yeah.
So that's my mistake. But since we're still recording and I know people have to go,
okay, and I
not
have
to touch on.
like a minute before the Zoom ends. So with onboarding, again, it's all about having a system, but keeping it simple. So I will quickly pull mine up here and share my screen. Okay, so I'm sorry, there's a lot going on here. So you're getting the whole thing. So with onboarding, keeping it simple is helpful, but also keeping them focused on the dash, right? The dash is going to give you, as a leader, it's going to tell you how to help them, but also for them to know what to do when. So when it comes to having a new consultant, it's just like host coaching. Okay, this is exactly what we're doing. It's the same thing. It's a different information. So again, when I'm on a call, I'm giving them the same information each new consultant. So each new person that comes on, I'm going to say, this is what I'm calling them with the first call. And of course, you and your director can do this together, but you have the tools and we can give you these tools as well. So I literally go through each bullet point with them, and I don't go over the second call until the second call, right? So this is just, again, it's just like host coaching, but it's going to tell you what to talk about with them. And these calls take 20 to 30 minutes, I would say, and no more. Some less, some more if they're chatty. And we talk about and we get off topic. So, sorry, that was super quick. Anything else you want me to go over with that? I just know my time's gonna end here soon.
No, actually that's good. Just throwing it in that there is a system for it. I just wanted to feel comfortable because sometimes I was afraid to recruit in the beginning because I didn't know what to do once I got one.
Yeah,
Once I
totally.
got a fish, I had no idea what to do with